Hi everyone, it's Don. I just got back from being on call for internal medicine again. It's been a busy weekend. I was on call a few times. Here are the highlights. So, being a resident for a few months now in a new city, I started to realize things that I missed about doing my rotations and medical school in another city, especially when it comes to meeting the patients and the kind of population that I'm serving. More specifically for me, is that I realized that I've exclusively been speaking English to my patients a lot of times, whereas back in Montreal, where I trained, there was a lot of French going on too. And so learning languages for me is a huge passion. I really wish I had more time during medical school to dedicate time to learning languages. I did try to keep up and make time for it. And so this video is going to be about the languages that I learned during medical school and that I tried to integrate into my practice. And as well, I'm going to be sharing a few stories that I have that relate to being a doctor and speaking these languages. So the languages I'm going to try to speak in this video, I would say I'm mostly beginner to intermediate in most of them. Some of them I am fully fluent. But obviously, as I'm showing you here, it's going to be a lot of speaking. I generally think that I do understand a lot better than I speak. Which is the case when you're learning languages. Because if you're not immersed fully in that language, then it's really tough to find the time to practice verbally. And so I generally don't claim to speak 7 or 8 languages, but I do say that I've studied them and I have a very keen interest and I love the practice itself of learning. And for me, the main reason I love to learn languages is because of the interaction you get with people and the culture you learn. I just think it's so fascinating how different languages are and how different that makes people think and how cultures can be so different and defined by their language. Back when I was a medical student and now as a doctor, I realized just how much language is important when I'm meeting patients and building a relationship. And so without further ado, these are the languages that I speak well or that I'm still currently learning. So the first language obviously is going to be English, and you can judge yourself the level you think I'm at here, but I think it's pretty good. It's pretty functional. I have no real issues expressing myself in English, even if it's not my first language. And speaking English to patients and making thorough assessments and having nuanced conversations and details about procedures has never been an issue. I did medical school in English, so that's no surprise. So the other language that I'm just as comfortable speaking as I am to speaking English is French. Donc j'ai grandi dans une ville vraiment bilingue au Canada et puis je suis allé à une école française, en fait à un lycée français et puis pour toute mon école primaire et secondaire, en fait j'ai étudié en français et donc je dirais même que je suis plus confortable en français qu'en anglais, c'est-à-dire que j'ai appris à écrire des textes et à lire des textes littéraires en français et donc le niveau de français que j'ai appris est un peu plus élevé que celui en anglais, même si maintenant je parle un peu plus anglais. En fait, quand j'ai fait ma médecine à Montréal, beaucoup des patients parlent plutôt français, même s'ils sont capables de parler en anglais, ils préfèrent le français. Et donc, même si j'ai pas fait ma médecine en français, je dirais que je suis quand même capable de faire des évaluations médicales en français et de confortablement parler de tous les sujets. Et j'ai même fait des stages en français, en chirurgie. So my first language is actually Vietnamese. Từ nhỏ tới lớn ở nhà nói chuyện với lại ba mẹ bằng tiếng Việt á. Thì hồi nhỏ là ba mẹ dạy nói tiếng Việt, đi học thì nói tiếng Tây, nói tiếng Anh, mà về nhà là nói tiếng Việt không. Mà tại nói ở nhà nhiều á thì nói chữ như là đi ngủ, ăn cơm nhiều hơn, không có nói mấy chữ mà để mà làm bác sĩ á. Thì ở nhà thương á, khi nào gặp bệnh nhân mà nói tiếng Việt á, Đông cũng thử nói tiếng Việt mà có nhiều chữ mà không có biết mà cũng xài được, tại vì mấy bệnh nhân cũng thử nói để mà Đông hiểu, để mà nói xài chữ mà dễ hơn, hay là chỉ ở đây, hay là nói là nó đau ở đây thì. And so this story I'm going to explain in English because I don't have necessarily the vocabulary or the time to tell it in Vietnamese. But there was this one time I did do an interpretation in the hospital for a Vietnamese family who was a mother and who brought in her son with a nosebleed, and basically I was able to translate a lot of what they were saying. And again, it's because they were trying to make it simple and we were kind of meeting each other halfway in terms of a vocabulary. But what was important is that actually the main concern of the mother is that she thought her son possibly had leukemia, or she knew someone who had a kid who had a nosebleed and had leukemia, and she couldn't really express these concerns. And the emergency physician was trying her best to kind of understand, but she just was trying to reassure her that nosebleed is nothing. But the main issue of this visit was basically that she was worried about something bigger. And because I was able to translate and understand that, we were really much more able to communicate and address that mother's concern. And in the end, I think it made for a better encounter. Ok, ahora voy a hablar en español. Creo que hablo español bien, pero no hablo con fluidez porque tengo que buscar las palabras la mayor parte del tiempo y no practico mucho porque aquí donde vivo ahora no hay muchas personas que hablan español y no tengo la oportunidad de practicar mucho. Entonces, en el hospital, cuando hay pacientes que hablan español, la mayor parte del tiempo ellos hablan inglés bien, entonces es más fácil de hablar inglés con ellos, pero cuando ellos hablan con sus familias en español, no tienen que interpretar para mí después, y entonces es más fácil para la comunicación. Creo que si ellos no hablan rápido, puedo comprender 80 o 90% de la conversación. Shalom, מה נשמע? קוראים לי דונובן. עכשיו אני מנסה לדבר עברית. למדתי עברית באוניברסיטה, אבל למדתי רק שנה. הרבה אנשים שואלים לי, למה אתה מדבר עברית? למה אתה לומד עברית? ואני לא יודע למה. חושב שרציתי ללמוד ערבית, אבל שמעתי שערבית קשה מאוד ועברית יותר קלה. ואולי זה נכון, אבל עכשיו אני אוהב ללמוד עברית ואני יודע איך לכתוב ולקרוא. So it's actually kind of a funny story because obviously I don't look like someone who would speak Hebrew. I used it a lot as an icebreaker. There's a hospital in Montreal called the Jewish General Hospital, which doesn't necessarily serve just Jews, but there is a big population of that, and especially doctors there can be Jewish. And so in medical school, when I would be in a doctor's clinic and I would suspect that they were Jewish and that they would maybe speak Hebrew, I would use it to kind of break the ice. And they would always be very impressed, and they told me it made their day, that they were so surprised. So I love seeing the smiles on people's faces when they were that surprised. 大家好，我叫 Donovan， 我是医生。现在我说中文。我在学中文，因为我女朋友是中国人。我说的不太好，但是我一点明白。这是我女朋友，她是医学生，她很漂亮。The last language that I'm very much a beginner in is Russian. Я учил русский язык в университете, и у меня есть учебник, но я думаю, что говорить по-русски очень трудно. Я могу написать немного, но я не думаю, что говорю хорошо. Honestly, Russian is probably the hardest language I found to learn. I don't consider I speak any kind of Russian other than the beginning sentences I have there, which have been useful at times to introduce myself and break the ice. But there's something about the grammar that is so intense and the alphabet that really doesn't help in learning quickly. And it's just full of consonants, and honestly, it's a mouthful. I really, really respect people who know Russian or have learned Russian themselves. It's pretty incredible. Oh, and as a bonus, I do think I am pretty good at Brazilian Portuguese, which is kind of a mashup between French and English. I don't really have the occasion to practice much speaking at all, so eu acho que eu posso ler as notícias e entender, mas eu não falo muito bem. So yeah, basically I can read some news, read some kids' stories, but I really don't use it as much, and I'm not as comfortable as I am in Spanish, for example. And also, as a fun fact, I did do 5 years of Latin in high school, which I think helped a lot in learning new languages and understanding grammar. Alright, so I really hope that this video was interesting if you made it this far. I really don't think I speak all of them fluently. They're all works in progress, but I really, really wanted to share my love of languages. And so with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Merci beaucoup.